Ladies and gentlemen, as you've been told, my name is Elly Karuhanga. I'm chairman of Private Sector Foundation and a trustee and former chairman of the Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum. Should I say a long-serving chairman of that organization. But I'm also a very big activist in the oil and gas sector as a regular speaker at different conferences and representing my law firm, Kampala Associated Advocates, which incidentally has just celebrated its 20th anniversary only this weekend. And thank you for some of you who gave us all your support. Thank you. Well, I'm very pleased to be here as your speaker as you close this conference. I feel privileged to be asked to do that. And I don't take that compliment lightly. I think I should be proud of it, that I was there at the opening when you opened this incubator center by Stanbic, and I, together with Mr. Ernest Robondo, I'm glad we are still alive to see now this conference taking place. And the incubator organization which Stanbic has put up has done a wonderful job. I want to thank the leadership of Stanbic Bank so much. I want to thank the current managing director, our brilliant daughter of Africa, Anna Juko. Let me tell you, you are doing a great job. We are very happy with you. Your predecessor, Patrick Mwehere, who is now the chairman of the Uganda Chamber of Mines Petroleum at the same time, regional boss for Stanbic. It's a pleasure to be part of this. And I have to mention that Tony Toa, an adopted son of mine, makes me so proud. Everything that you do, you make me smile. From the time we worked together in the oil and gas sector, the time you used to be and still are the master of the ceremonies of the Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, always there for us. This is the right time for me to pronounce that I'm very proud of you and what you are doing as the leader for this incubator, Stanbic Business Incubator Center. I want to thank the organizers and the people who have played a big role in this together with Stanbic. UNOC, Uganda National Oil Company, thank you very much. Thank you, CNOOC. Thank you, Uganda Investment Authority. Thank you, Petroleum Authority of Uganda. When you come to think about it, organizations who are seriously involved in the development of oil and gas in Uganda, when they put their hands together with a bank, the ecosystem for developing the oil industry gets complete. Because, SMEs by nature all over the world are the engines of any economy. I always like to give the example of Brazil, and I ask you to look at it. I ask the audience, take time, open your Google, look at the role SMEs play in Brazil. Literally, Brazil does not import anything. They manufacture everything for their economy. It's a very interesting economy. And who manufactures it? SMEs. Here in Uganda, SMEs are 90% of our economy. But, now all of a sudden, we have an economic breakthrough. God is present. When they are closing the taps on oil and gas and fossil fuels, Uganda, the investors are coming to put money in our economy, in developing our oil and gas. I don't know what you people think, but for me, who has been looking at this program since my Hardman days as president of Hardman, which discovered oil in Uganda, I was bought by Talo, and my Talo days as president of Talo, which developed the oil wells and found so much oil, and my time in the Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, I have been looking at this industry with very keen, scrutinizing eyes. And I have understood that the impact oil and gas can have on our economy is not only going to be felt, but it is unprecedented. Absolutely unprecedented. What has been lacking and what has been excruciating me in my stomach, just making me very uneasy, is the failure by Ugandans, by the SMEs, to appreciate the opportunity that has been put on the table for them by the government of the Republic of Uganda, led by President Museveni and his colleagues in government. The SMEs have up to now not yet realized their critical role. What Stanbic did by putting up this incubator program is, for me, one of the most honorable things that any investor, any bank could do. First of all, as you know, the industry is, well, let me use a funny word. The industry is funny. Funny in the sense that it is not business as usual. It is what it is. Their demands are not what we know. Their demands are those things that we are not accustomed to. For example, they have what they call standards. And these standards are international standards. They are not local municipal standards. They are world-class approved internationally. Why? Why are they that unique and that funny? Why, if I'm going to supply tomatoes, must I have to observe the international standards of the supply of tomatoes? Tomatoes are tomatoes as far as we SMEs are concerned. But no, with oil and gas, onions, tomatoes, milk, jam, cheese, whatever, it has to meet international standards. World class. Any supply of anything must meet international standards. These international standards are not just standards. They come with what they call certification. So whatever you want to supply, you must be certified. If you want to be a driver, you don't just because you have a driving license, that doesn't allow you to drive anything to take to terrain or to Kingfisher. You have to have a driver's certified driving permit, certified by international certifiers that you are a reliable, proven, trained, certified driver who can be trusted with funny-looking equipment from the port of Dar es Salaam or the port of Mombasa to be entrusted with an equipment worth $1 million so that you don't overturn it and you deliver it to terrain on time without any extra costs, without delays, and having taken care of that equipment, and maybe drive it back to Mombasa and come back again and again and again and again. Without any accident, without killing anyone, without setting the sensitive vehicle full of fuel ablaze and killing our young population coming from school. So the standards are up there and we must meet them. How would we ever expect our SMEs in Katwe to know this? It is this Stanbic story that has been going on for now, I think maybe 3 years, if not more. Thank you for buying property. Using bank money to buy property in Kororo to be able to carry these classes on and on. And I'm very happy with all the people who have been participating in this program. I'm also proud, I must say, that my law firm, Kampala Associated Advocates, is one of the people who have been volunteering teachers. Our lawyers come here regularly and teach you how to make sure that you can fill the tenders in a legal manner. And they give you what it takes to meet those standards of tendering. Even the tenders, some of the tenders which have been requested, say for logistics, I saw one with 3,000 pages asking incredible questions about your environmental impact assessment, about your, I don't know what to say, your safety and your health standards. So this incubator program has helped us to make sure that our SMEs make sense. And we do not have to go outside of our country to look for people to supply oranges or tomatoes. We have even ring-fenced so many different sectors that they don't be interfered with by foreigners. And these are a preserve for Uganda to supply business. And I can tell you that those ring-fence services have already brought economic earthquake in some of our people. The other day I was talking to a young man who came to visit me. He had just signed a $79 million deal to build a camp. He told me that for him in business, since he was born, has been a big businessman all the time. His biggest contract had been $800,000. Now he's here sitting with $79 million. How is he going to do this if he had not gone to incubation center? How would he have even, first of all, won the tender? How? But he had the sense to look for a foreign investor. He had the sense to be advised after the training. He had the sense to get good lawyers to help him to do a good agreement, joint venture agreement with a foreign company. He had the sense to find the best foreign company that would probably win that tender. And they got it. And he's a substantial, if not majority shareholder. And now he's touching the lives of very many SMEs who are going to be supplying him very different services. And he requires of them not to let him down. He requires them to make sure that they meet the oil and gas standards in the supply. You don't drive anything on a vehicle without proper tires. The vehicle must be of a certain age. You don't use the vehicle without a certified driver. You don't drive at certain speeds. There must be a governor in the vehicle. There must be no accident. Every accident is reported, not only here, but internationally. While driving, the driver knocked a kid going to school or overturned the vehicle. This is an accident reported worldwide, up the headquarters of Beijing and of CNOOC in Beijing and the headquarters of Total in France. So, SMEs, we have finally made it. Let me just say that 90%, as I said that earlier, of our entire economy is in the hands of SMEs. This is significant knowing that the 90% of our economy is in the hands of you, SMEs, when you are not yet certified and trained, even to run a restaurant, that shows that if you are trained, you can easily come to 99% of the economy. And I have to explain this to you in a nice way. And I have to make live requests that the oil and gas industry is requesting of you to do. Let's talk about the man who is building the camp. Well, there will be about, camps will have about 15,000 people in Tereng. Maybe and Kingfisher. Let's say 15,000 people. All of a sudden find themselves in a squeezed area living in a camp. They have to have breakfast. They have to have lunch. Maybe tea break. They have to have afternoon something. They have to have dinner. Now, somebody will have to cook that food for them. Somebody will have to wash their overalls and brush their shoes. Somebody will have to iron them. Somebody will have to make sure that the helmets, the security things they wear, the protective equipment is available on time. At breakfast alone, the companies have already calculated the last detail, the amount of food required, and I'm very happy to share this with you today. Okay, if there are 15,000 people living in these camps and expected to be fed daily, let me just take the example of only 5,000 man camp. So you can always multiply by 3, whatever I say, since they are going to be 15. And this area I'm going to talk about is the one which is ring-fenced for Ugandans. So the oil companies are very specific. They study everything. That's how they make profit. If they didn't do that, they would make losses. You wouldn't be surprised by anything. So listen to this one. In fact, if you have a pen and a paper, write it down for your amusement. There are 23,000 trays of eggs are required every day in a 5,000 man camp. 23,000 eggs, trays, not eggs, trays of eggs, 23,000 are not available by our current standards in Uganda. But this is immediate. The FID, by the grace of God, has been approved by CNOOC and Total recently. It's breaking news I'm giving. Because I haven't heard the government announce. They can't announce because some of them have not yet passed some legislation. But the companies have cleaned their eyes. Everything is in our hands. You need 23,000 trays of eggs every day. So you egg producers, boost. Yeah. So if you are an SME in the business of poultry, here is the statistic. Now you know you have a market. Before this market was there was a market already supplying you. Now there's a new market. All of a sudden, 23,000 trays. They will need potatoes. Because at breakfast, at lunch, at supper, they put a potato for you. For 5,000, by the way, the 23,000 trays of eggs is already for one camp. So if you want to multiply by 3, you know I'm talking about 69,000, 70,000 trays of eggs. So, my dear poultry friend, my SME ally, let's get moving. Now let's talk about potatoes. A 50 kilogram bag, they will need every day 320 sacks of potatoes every day. By the way, you have to multiply that by 3, multiply that by 7 to get a week's supply. And then tell me how you are going to supply those potatoes. Now, honestly, farmers, SMEs, what are we going to do? We are going to go to Brazil and America and China to bring potatoes? This is an opportunity of a lifetime. And if you are going to get in the business of potatoes, this business is not here for 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years. It's at least put 5 years now during the construction period. Now let me tell you about the pineapples. Not because I want to talk to the farmers who are in the SMEs so that we can get closer to understanding the business. For pineapples, they want 3,840 pineapples per day. Multiply that by 3 again. So since you are writing 3,840 pineapples per day for the 5,000 man camp. So another 3,840 and another one. So that's about 12,000 pineapples per day, per week times 7, per month times 30. Where are we headed with pineapple producers? This is no longer business of joking. This is serious business stuff. Now, bunches of matoke. I'm a matoke grower. I have a little shamba of matoke, 20 acres. But in my village, they call me Bwana Kubwa. They think I'm a big guy, big material. But they want 1,024 bunches per day. Times 3. Times 3. Times 7 a week. Times 30 days. So Uganda is going to be turned into a banana republic because you are going to have so many people producing. The problem is that those who are producing now have not been doing it in a cooperative way. So we need to get organized. The ones producing eggs, organize yourselves in cooperatives. The ones producing potatoes, organize yourselves in cooperatives. Supply the little that you have grown, but get the market. The ones doing pineapples, organize yourselves. The watermelon, 3,840. Just like the pineapples. 128 sacks of posho and rice. Every day, 50 kilograms. 6,400 kilograms of tomatoes. Times 3, 6,400 kilograms of tomatoes. Not tomatoes. Not one tomato. No, kilograms. So you have to think about how many tomatoes are in a kilogram, and then how many, and 6,400 times 3 to get 15,000 people. Because remember, at breakfast, they put a tomato. At lunchtime, they put a tomato in the food. At evening, they put a tomato. They need 2,560 mangoes for the 5,000 man camp. They need 6,400 kilograms of onions. They need 3,200 kilograms of carrots. They need 1,280 heads of lettuce. They need 6,400 bundles of spinach. They need 1,280 spring onions, different types of onions. They need thousands of tons of meat of every description. So, we, cattle keepers, herdsmen who have always known that you just spend the whole day grazing your cows with a stick on your shoulder and whistling and looking at your cows and singing their names, my friend, there are people who want to eat them. and they want to give you cash. And they want thousands of tons of that stuff. So, the time, let me just stop there, because the list is really endless. And I have concentrated only on the agriculture space. But the procurement list goes for everything. Companies involved in security, companies which are involved in supplying security, making sure that the people who are coming to sabotage our industry are kept at bay, like the ones we had in Uganda. If the security guys at the Jubilee building, at the IGG office, had not checked the guy who was a suicide bomber, he was going to go in the building. But they wanted to check him, he went away. He came back, they checked it, took him, he said, this is enough, let me blow myself here and end my life. But he couldn't get into the building. So there is no way we can get into a very strategic industry like oil and gas with a pipeline, the longest heated pipeline in the world, 1,400 plus kilometers to Tanga, and allow it to be open there without security. Who is going to provide security for this? Ring-fenced for who? For Ugandan companies and Tanzanian companies. How will you get a security job in an oil company? There are so many things you have to go through to satisfy the oil companies that you are capable of doing this. You need your dogs, you need your dressing, you need your uniform, you need your guns, you need your training, you need your educated, a certain level of education, you need, and this place is in a remote area, so you will not be available for your family. I'm talking about security companies. Then there's the ICT programs. People who keep us going. People who know that the tomatoes are now few, unless the stock is remaining, please supply, People who know that, they type much oil has been produced, this, that, and the other. So I need to have the procurement list now. The companies have already they say on day check we shall procure so much of this much. So everything is really provided for. I wanted to check on the required supplies, because the oil company said that on November 30th we shall be procuring surveyors to go and survey the route between here, Zimbabwe, up to Mutukura. And on that road, we shall require people who will be supplying sand and earth in that area. So we will need quarries along this road. All of this is all for you. I've not talked about the entire spectrum of the protected services. But this is the moment. This is the real moment for us to start waking up. We at the Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, we at the Private Sector Foundation, we have been making an alarm to Ugandans to wake up and take advantage of a $20 billion investment coming into our country to develop our oil, an amount of money that we have never seen in our life since the world was created. This generation is to spend this money in the next 3 to 5 years, finished period, and it will never be spent again, will never be seen here again. We will only be earning money from the production of oil, that's it. And unlike other countries who produce oil, most of them get their oil in the ocean. Ours is deep inland. in the heart of Africa. And this has given us an opportunity to each one of us participate in this industry. Because the one produced in the ocean is sorted out in the ocean, is refined in the ocean, and is exported to the markets in the ocean. So people only wait to receive proceeds from sales of their crude or refined product. In our situation, even before we start producing oil, we have already earned more than $3 billion in taxes, which is very unprecedented. The second thing that is great for Uganda is that no country in the world which has produced oil has ever started producing oil with local content, with ring-fenced business for their people. I know one country, it took 40 years before they could think about or wake up to implement a local content program or pass laws. So all the services were done by foreigners for 40 years. I mean, what type of crime is that? This is one of the few, if not the only country so far, which is going to go into a $20 million investment with people ring-fencing their jobs for their nationals, so that their nationals cannot become bystanders and see the industry exporting its value without some of it being retained in country for the benefit of the people of Uganda and the region. This is coming at a time when Africa has opened a free continental trade area. This means that the markets that we never had before are now freely open. And the Minister of Trade, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the President, these people have been working helter-skelter, opening markets for our milk. I had wanted to give you statistics about the requirement for milk in an earlier statement and some other sensitive items. I'll try and get them before I conclude my remarks. But now we have this Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We have the East African Community. We have the free trade. We have opened our relationship with Tanzania. Next week, we are going to Tanzania with His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda as our guest speaker to meet our Tanzanian colleagues. Please, SMEs, come to Dar es Salaam. We are sending out messages. Thank you, Stanbic, once again, and PAO, and CNOOC, and the Chamber of Mines and Private Sector Foundation for organizing this, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Thank the Ambassador of Tanzania here. I thank our High Commissioner, Sir Richard Kabonero, in Tanzania, who are setting up this program. So we're having the two presidents of Uganda and Tanzania to meet us so that we can team up with our Tanzanian colleagues and do business together and make sure that we absorb this money and it stays inside. I had wanted to tell you that for milk, we will require 2.5 million liters at a cost of 1,500 per liter for this business, and that would be 3.75 trillion. Now, this type of market available for oil and gas before we send it to Africa is for us to enjoy. So, women and youth, this is the time. This is the time for women and youth to wake up and participate as SMEs and to team up together. Do not say, I'm too small to do this. Find investment clubs. Work out something. Well, this is a subject that is so dear to my heart, and there's no way I can be stopped from continuing to talk because 1,000 ideas are raining in my heart right now, which I feel I should impart to you. But there is always the constraint of time. And I must end my remarks by thanking the organizers of this conference for training you, for making this oil and gas conference with SMEs a possibility, and for wishing you a lot of money. And if you do not participate in this business, do not put in your tender and at least lose it, but participate in the tender. Final warning, please, we've told you in the training, do not do this without professionals on your side. Make sure that your books have an auditor, have an accountant. Make sure that you have a lawyer who knows how, when you win a tender, can sit down and negotiate a contract with Total or with a subcontractor or with a CNOOC for you. These people, they have a battalion of lawyers. When they send you a contract, they have made sure that their interests are protected. Make sure that your lawyer looks at it to ensure that your interests are also protected. Otherwise, they will give you a business supply, eggs or meat, and they'll put a provision that this contract ends after 1 month. And you have bought 50 vehicles to mobilize all this, and you have nowhere to put them after that. So make sure you have got, I'm not saying look for Kampala Associated, no. Please look for a good lawyer. Please. If you are going to do any selling of property or leasing of property, please make sure that you are professionally advised. Look for a good banker. Do not go around borrowing money from money lenders and places like that without a proper advice. The advisors in Uganda are very many. We have a lot of educated people. I thank you for listening to me. I wish the best for Stanbic. I hope the other banks can pick your example. God bless you. Thank you for listening to me.
What a speech. Everyone was so attentive, and I guess this really shows what to expect. And I guess for the farmers, for the businesses, we haven't really had these conversations, now it's showtime. So I thank you so much for really coming through for the last 2 days. I would like to thank you so much for your time, your dedication, and the fact that you're here is again evidence of your interest in the sector and the great opportunities to come. I thank you very much, and I want to say from the bottom of our heart at the incubator, asante and goodbye. Thank you.